pan wierzy w to, że rząd...
Do you believe the Law and Justice government thought of a partition? I think it had a moment of hesitation in the first 10 days of the war then, when we all didn't know how it would go. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki reacted to the statement in harsh terms, demanding that opposition politicians disassociate themselves from such a narrative. Radosław Sikorski's statement is no different from Russian propaganda. The former foreign minister must weigh his word. I expect these disgraceful statements to be retracted. I call on the opposition to disassociate itself from Radosław Sikorski's statements. However, the civic platform remains silent for the time being, and the spokesman for Law and Justice, Rafał Bocianek, points out that Donald Tusk is also avoiding answering questions about the PO-PSL government's business and political links with Russia. Poland's actions under the direction of Law and Justice have from the very beginning been directed towards helping Ukraine and its people, and above all military support to preserve its territorial integrity. We ask why, when he was Prime Minister, he made extremely unfavourable decisions regarding Poland's military and energy security. Today, after Radosław Sikorski's lying statement, it raises another 11th question: on whose orders is such disinformation being spread by civic platform politicians? This is not the first time Radosław Sikorski has bought into the Russian narrative, which is then reproduced by the Kremlin and its affiliated media. When the Nord Stream gas pipelines exploded, Sikorski suggested that the US was responsible. Thank you, USA. United States diplomatic spokesman Ned Price was in no doubt as to the intentions behind the post.
Clarify that. The idea that the United States was in any way involved in the apparent sabotage of these pipelines is preposterous. It is nothing more than a function of Russian disinformation.
Radosław Sikorski has devoted his final years to bringing Warsaw closer to Berlin and Moscow. Sikorski criticized President Lech Kaczynski for flying to Tbilisi in 2008 after Russia's attack on Georgia. In turn, in 2010, just 4 months after the Smolensk assassination, Sikorski expressed the hope for the import of energy from a nuclear power plant in Russia's Kaliningrad. This is a scandalous statement by Mr. Radosław Sikorski, a man responsible for supporting Putin, for covering up the Smolensk crime, for supporting German-Russian policy. During the 2014 Euromaidan, Radosław Sikorski urged the leaders of the Ukrainian protests to make a deal with Russia. If you don't sign the agreement, you will have martial law and the army in the streets. You will all be dead. It is difficult to imagine an experienced politician implementing a one-to-one scenario from the Kremlin. It is difficult to consider an experienced politician whose spouse is an influential United States journalist as being foolish. Radosław Sikorski's foreign policy when he was foreign minister weakened Poland's closest neighbours in favour of Russia, points out editor-in-chief of Gazeta Polska, Tomasz Sakiewicz. Just as Prime Minister Donald Tusk was the most pro-Russian Prime Minister in the history of the Third Republic, Minister Sikorski was the most pro-Russian minister. They undermined the basic principles of Polish politics. Radosław Sikorski is completely unaware of what he is saying. He is not in control of what he says, or it shows a conscience favouring of Russia. There are therefore legitimate questions about Radosław Sikorski's additional sources of income. The issue is the €800,000 which he received in 2019 for consultancy work, but he did not specify for what and from whom.